You know that quiet pull, the one so many of us feel? It's this subtle, almost magnetic force that draws our attention away from the world right in front of us and toward the light of a small screen. It often happens without us even really choosing it, almost like a reflex we've come to know all too well. And maybe you've wondered, in a quiet moment of frustration, why does it feel so difficult to resist? Why is it so hard to just look away, to put the device down when a part of you knows you want to be doing anything else? Well, the first thing to understand is this. This struggle is not some kind of personal failing. It isn't a weakness or a lack of self-control. The answer is found not in our character, but in the quiet inner workings of our own brain. To really get to the heart of this pull, we have to look inward, at the very system that evolved to guide our actions and really to ensure our survival, our brain's internal reward system. And right at the heart of this system is a very powerful chemical called dopamine. It's often mistaken for the molecule of pleasure, but it's really more accurate to think of it as the molecule of anticipation. It's that feeling that drives us to seek, to explore, and to repeat behaviors that our brain has flagged as potentially rewarding. It's just how we're wired. Our minds are naturally drawn to experiences that release this chemical. It's how we learn. And the digital world, well, it offers these rewards in a way that is almost perfectly tuned to this system. It gives us instant, frequent, and this is the important part, unpredictable bursts of feedback. It's that unpredictability, not knowing what you'll see next, that makes the seeking so compelling. And so, a simple loop is formed. A cue appears, our brain anticipates a potential reward, we reach for the device to find out what it is. And whether that reward is big or small, the loop is completed. And every single time this cycle completes, the pathway in our brain becomes a little more defined, a little harder to resist the next time. Now, all of this constant cycling, well, it has a really profound effect on the part of our brain that's responsible for deeper thinking. Our prefrontal cortex, the center for planning, for impulse control, for sustained focus. It finds itself in this constant state of interruption, pulled from the present moment, again and again. It's also so important to recognize that this environment of interruption, it's not an accident. We're living inside a landscape that has been intentionally designed to create this very feeling. The thing is, the platforms we use every day aren't just neutral tools. They've been carefully engineered to capture our most valuable and finite resource, our attention, and to hold on to it for as long as possible. And you see this in all the features that have become so normal, right? The infinite scroll that takes away any natural stopping point. The personalized algorithms that create this comfortable little reality it's hard to look away from. Each one is a tool, expertly designed to tap into our brain's desire for novelty and for reward. Those alerts, in particular, are just incredibly powerful. They act like sirens because they literally hijack our brain's ancient threat detection system. A sudden sound, a vibration, it triggers an involuntary reflex to figure out what's going on. It's a survival instinct, and it's why those alerts feel almost impossible to ignore. And over time, this can guide us into a state of what you might call passive consumption. It's a kind of waking trance where we scroll and scroll, taking in a stream of content that's been tailored just for us, but without ever feeling truly engaged or nourished by it. Living this way, in this state of constant digital noise and low-grade stimulation, it does come with a cost. A quiet cost to our ability to think deeply and to our own sense of inner peace. You can think of the brain like a muscle, really. It adapts to what we ask of it. And by training it to exist in a state of rapid, constant shifts in attention, we're basically conditioning it for distraction. This can create a kind of cognitive impatience, where longer, more meaningful tasks like reading a book or having a deep conversation, well, they can start to feel difficult, even irritating. And I think we can feel the difference between these two states in our bodies. Deep attention, it feels calm and settled and spacious. But scattered attention, that feels restless, anxious, and fragmented. It's a state of constant mental juggling that just slowly drains our energy reserves. This fragmentation also places a heavy burden on our working memory. A good way to think of it is like a little mental countertop where we work with new ideas. When that countertop is constantly cluttered with notifications and new bits of information, there's simply no space left to truly think or learn. And then, of course, beyond all the cognitive costs, there's an emotional toll. Living in a state of perpetual alert, of constant input. It forces the brain to switch contexts over and over, which is one of the most demanding tasks we can ask of it. It can leave us feeling drained and anxious, even on a day when we've done very little physically. But just understanding these patterns, that's the first step toward reclaiming our inner quiet. It is possible to find our way back to a place of focus, not through harsh restrictions, but through gentle, intentional shifts in our habits. The path forward isn't about rejecting the modern world. It's about cultivating a more conscious and intentional relationship with our digital tools so that we aren't in control of them and not the other way around. We can begin by creating what you might call attentional sanctuaries, just small, protected pockets of time and space where our devices are simply not invited. A meal with a loved one, the first hour of the morning, a walk outside, these become sacred spaces for our minds to rest. We can also practice a kind of attentional hygiene. Just as we care for our bodies, we can care for our minds by choosing to do one thing at a time. And this isn't about productivity. It's about gently retraining our attention, allowing the mind to settle and rediscover the calm that comes from a single point of focus. And perhaps most powerfully, we can shift from being reactive to being intentional. By silencing those digital sirens, we change our relationship with information. We decide when to pull in knowledge and connection rather than allowing it to be pushed at us all day long. We take back the power to choose. Because these small steps, they aren't about what we're giving up, are they? They're about what we're making space for. And that leads us to a simple, hopeful question. In the moments of quiet we create for ourselves, what new thoughts, what new connections, and what deeper ideas finally have room to emerge?